Hello, good morning, good evening, good day, good afternoon, and aloha. Welcome to another episode of Lou Reviews. I'm Lou. How's it going? Actor, comedian, writer out here in Los Angeles. Welcome to the show. Today is going to be insanely special. We're going to be reviewing The Last of Us, a little bit of episode 1 because we didn't review last week, but we're going to try and focus on episode 2. We're going to have a roundtable. But unfortunately, one person from the roundtable could not make it. They had to bail. But we did get an insanely awesome guest. If you know this channel, if you've been around for a while, you know this face. I'm so happy to see it. Without any further ado, I'm so excited to bring out Mr. Michael Mataluni.
Woo, woo.
What's up, boy?
Lou,
Look at us.
Lou. Good to see you,
Look at
brother.
us. Look at us.
It's been far too long.
Look at this team. Look at us go. Dude, it has been too long since I've seen
Almost
your
a
face.
year? It's been maybe
Has it been almost a year,
I don't
dude?
know, dude. It's been a long time.
That's right. Yeah, because around last Christmas is when you were like, dude, I'm not quitting, but I got to step back. And then a month later, you're like, I'm not quitting, but I got to step back even more. And then a month later, you're like, I think I got to quit. And I'm like, I figured. But dude, it's good to see you here.
Yeah, it's good to see you, brother.
Hopefully we can have you back some more and talking movies and films and the fun stuff. Keeping it fun, keeping it light. But all right, cool, dude. I'm happy you're here. I don't know if you know this, but Rather also came back and did a show. We did a little sort of UFO show, sort of. It's been 4 months, so let's talk about it because we haven't seen each other in 4 months, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But he's gonna come back every month, first Tuesday of the month, and we're gonna do one UFO show a month.
Dope. Yeah, I'll swing around. I'll swing through.
Just to wet the palate. You know what I mean?
I mean, I can't tell you how many people I've pissed off just with my complete 180 on the subject.
Yeah, same here. Well, if you think you've pissed people off, there's literally a hit list for me. I am on a list of death. But what was I going to say? Yeah, anyway, so we were going to be doing that one. So I wasn't even going to say come back for that. I mean, you don't have to because I know how you feel about the topic now. But
no, like, again, like, I'll swing through. It's just, you know.
Well, I like on my Twitter profile, it says 0 days UFO sober, right? Because like every day I relapse. You know, I look at it or I talk about it or I comment about it at least once. So it's you know, it is what it is. But anyway, let's get started with the show. Let me turn down the music. And by the way, Michael, I don't know if you've looked in the StreamYard here lately, but they've added some very interesting features that make it pretty cool to produce this show a little easier. But anyway, we don't want to talk about that. That's all behind the scenes stuff. Let me say hello to everyone who's here. Sorry, guys. I had this show scheduled for 7 Pacific Standard. And then I told Mike, hey, you want to come? He's like, yeah, no problem. Then about 10 minutes before 7, he's like, hey, where's the link? I'm like, he thinks we're doing the show 7 p.m. East Coast. Okay, I guess we're doing the show 4 p.m. East Coast. So I changed the time. So if you were planning on being here at 7, sorry, we changed it to 4. I think, you know what? All of my weekly shows, Michael, at Tuesday at 4 o'clock, that's my weekly show. Tomorrow we're going to be reviewing Velma, which is a shit show.
Which?
The HBO Max series written by Mindy Kaling.
I haven't seen it.
Have you not seen what's happened to this series in the last week? Oh my God, dude. Yeah, it's like cream of the crop as far as zeitgeist is concerned right now. It's like getting a lot of hate. I haven't watched the episodes yet, but yeah, it's getting a lot of hate. And I'm kind of excited to watch it so I can maybe get in on a little bit of this hate.
Get in on the hate, man.
I'll be honest with you. I kind of had it up to here with Mindy Kaling last year. And I didn't say nothing because I was like, I don't want to be the dick who starts hating on the girl, you know, who's a self-made writer and very successful. I just didn't want to be that guy.
Listen, man, how many?
But privately, I was like, I can't stand her writing. She's kind of starting to piss me off. And she now has cried. Everybody's with me now. It's now like the tides have turned. So I have to talk about it now. Well, I'm sorry. What are you going to say?
Well, no, I was going to say, like, going back to when you and I first got into the UFO topic, like, we started doing these shows and like, we were really freaking passionate about it. And like, just looking past so many things we didn't know or understand. And, you know, so anyway, I get getting excited about something and then being like, it's like when you go look back at like your Facebook post from like 7 years ago and you're like, I am so fucking embarrassed that
Yes. And also, like, I remember we would have conversations like, I just don't want to be fooled. I don't want to feel like a dick.
Mm-hmm.
And it made us feel like dicks. So we're like, you know what? Like, that's it. I like, it took me almost a year longer, but I caught up. Sometimes, personal experiences sometimes really, really mess with your biases.
I get it, bro. I get it.
But anyway, all right, let's talk about Pedro Pascal. And I can't remember her first name, Ms. Ramsey, who played Marmont in Game of Thrones. And they are starring the HBO Max show The Last of Us, which is based off of a Naughty Dog Productions video game for the PlayStation. I believe it came out for PlayStation 2 or 3. I can't remember which. I think it was 2. Do you remember? Did you play the game?
I'd never played the game. I actually never even heard of it until I started watching the HBO series. We actually watched it last week when it first came out, and then we watched the new episode last night. And I knew nothing about it, and then we started watching because I really love like post-apocalyptic genres, and I love like what the thing that I love most about these types of shows is the interpersonal and societal drama that's created after a post-apocalyptic event. And I had no idea what it was about. And then like the first scene at the very beginning, I was just like, oh, this is for me. And I still had no idea like what it was going to be exactly. But then I saw like, and then once the infection took over and then we started to see these characters appear to be like zombies, I was like, oh, fuck, it's another zombie. So like I didn't, but I kept watching. I was like, oh, this is much more about like social evolution and what happens after society collapses and how the different factions form. So that I love it. And I found completely fascinating.
Yeah, I did play the game, although when I played it, it was pretty much when it first came out. So I don't remember. I do remember the big parts, and I don't want to spoil it for you because you haven't played the game.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's probably one of the best written video games of all time, up there with GTA, like an Elder Scrolls, things like that, where it's just the story is insanely rich, but also the graphics at the time matched the story.
Right.
It is like you were playing a movie in a sense. And for the first episode, well, real quick, I guess let's break down in a nutshell episode 1, because I love that you mentioned the first scene with the guest on the TV show. And what kind of doctor was he again?
There were two virologists. I believe one was an epidemiologist, and then I can't remember if the other was he just had a specialty in
but I mean essentially they study spores, right? Like they
right. Well, one of them did. One of them was epidemiologist, focused on virus, and the other one studied fungal infections and
fungal infections. And then but that was chef's kiss, awesome, because it's a believable way. And also kind of a scary as shit way thinking of it, especially since the planet is indeed getting warmer.
Yeah.
We can debate about all day whether or not that's human made or that's just something that happens through Earth's cycle, which but it is weird how it's happening like pretty quickly.
Yeah. Well, the reason I was so excited by it when I watched the intro is because I listened to a podcast back in 2020 from Radiolab, and they had an episode called Fungus Among Us. And the episode was about, I'm trying to remember the exact name of the specific strain. I can find it here in a sec. Oh, Candida auris. And basically what they were finding was that people were getting infected with this, and they hadn't been getting infected in the past by it. And so they were introducing what all the variables were. One is globalization. So we're all traveling to different places in the world, but another was potentially climate change and how these fungus were evolving to be able to sustain themselves at higher and higher and higher temperatures, because so many fungus can't live in the human body because they're evolved to live in lower temperatures. But as climate changes and things heat up, they're adapting. And so to what effect can fungal infections begin to be potential pandemics? And then, I've always been interested in cordyceps and their ability to like breed in ants, and it's fascinating.
Right. I forgot to get to the comments and say hello to everybody, so let me do that real quick. Hello, John Brusso. He made a really cool comment. Episode 2, 5.7 million viewers on Sunday night, up 22% from the series debut, longest week 2 audience growth for an HBO original drama series in the history of the network, which is insane. And yeah, 18 million episodes for the first episode, 18 million views, excuse me. Hello, Thin Lizzie Borden. Thank you for being here. Appreciate it. Michelle's actually watching the show. I think it's because of you. I think it's because you're here, Michael.
I love you, Michelle.
Oh my God, I love it. Tim F, what's going on? I mean, she doesn't need to watch the show. She can hear it from here, from the other room. Grant Lavac, what's going on? You guys, so happy that you're here. Tell everybody Michael's back, but we're not talking about UFOs. We're talking about The Last of Us. Going back, did you read World War Z?
No, I saw the movie. I didn't read it.
Okay. You need to read that book because I'm shocked you haven't read it, because I thought for sure we were going to be able to spit about this. But before I get into this, what would you give the score on episode 1 rather? Just real quick.
Episode 1 of The Last of Us?
Of The Last of Us, yeah.
Ooh.
To put you on a quick spot.
Okay. Out of 10, what are we doing? I would give it
out of 10.
8.5, almost. I would give it a 9.
Okay.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna give it an 8.3.
Okay.
Insanely intriguing. I just quickly, I want to definitely shout this out. They paid homage to the video game very, very nicely. In some scenes, especially when they were in the truck. I don't know if it was weird for you as a viewer. I mean, I'm not sure how much of a lover of cinematography you are, but there was a very, very distinct shot that looked like a video game, sequence when they were in that truck with his daughter. Spoiler alert for episode 1, but not the entire arcing episode until we get to the season. But they were and here's the thing, shit, man. I keep thinking about stuff as we're talking about it, but like, where are you going?
Right.
Where are you going?
But the daughter brought that up. She said, well, what makes us think we should be fleeing? Like, what makes us think this is not everywhere?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I thought that was such an insane idea. I guess maybe it's panic. It's to run.
It's fight or flight.
Is that a human instinct? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
would you run or would you stay home?
Or do you freeze? Right? Do you hunker down?
Do you wait for more information, or do you wait for them to come get you until one's at the door, even though you really don't know what the hell's going on?
I mean, there's less there's less drama. Just hunkering down at home. I think it's much more fun for a video game or a movie to be on the run.
Yes.
But to your question is, what would I do? I would probably hunker down. I think
that's what I would think too, especially because I'm in an apartment building and we're levels up and we, like the stairwell, there are ways you can stuff those things.
There's potentially a lot more infected humans surrounding you in that apartment building.
Without a doubt. Okay, see, this is why I wish you had read World War Z. Okay, let's get back to. Okay, so I'm gonna give.
Sorry, Luis.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I'm hopping all over the place. But what I wanted to say about World War Z, now that we got our scores and reviews of episode 1 out of the way, very quick. I hope you enjoyed that. But because we want to get on to episode 2. But in World War Z, the thing I loved about it, and this is how they started episode 2, was a completely different part of the world, Indonesia.
Yes.
Right? Like, what happened in Indonesia? I want to do this. I thought they were going to do the whole episode. In Jakarta. I believe it was Jakarta in Indonesia. I was hoping they were going to do a whole episode in Indonesia in a completely different language, showing what happened somewhere else on that same day.
Yeah,
because that's what they did in World War Z. And this is the kind of film I kind of wanted to make about UFOs, where it's like, we'll get what the president says, but I want to know what happens in, the Roman church, or what happens in places like Cuba that are islands and that are dictatorships. Because in World War Z, the North Koreas, the Cubas, the Russias, the Chinas, the places that were able to close borders really quickly were the ones that were able to get a real handle on it quicker through the virus anyway, because it was a totalitarian state,
Right.
so you could do those things.
Right. Well, I love the fact that when they were talking to the specialist, and the expert on I believe, I can't remember if she was an epidemiologist as well, but when they brought her in and she said, they said, what do we do? And she said, you need to bomb us, you need to bomb this city, me, everyone in it. Yeah. Right now, you need to bomb it right now. Like that was, I have goosebumps just saying that, it's such a
that
powerful,
was
like, man,
dude, that was World War Z in a nutshell right there. That scene. That's why I say you should read that book, because the movie is nothing like the book at all. The book is way, way better. But I
love your point about like what's going on, and that's why I loved how they started it in Jakarta. And then I would have loved to have seen more of that. And I would definitely love to see more of that in future episodes about how this shakes out in different places of the world. Because again, that's the thing that intrigues me so much about these post-apocalyptic types of films, is that you get to, really imagine what these interpersonal and government factions and all of this sort of how it shakes down.
Well, what was really cool about it too is one of the chapters in the book was about a blind man. And what does a blind guy do during a zombie apocalypse? And it was so smart. Like he had a walking stick, and he faceted some sort of like, I don't know. I think if I remember correctly, it's been like 15 years since I read the book, but like a V-shaped blade that he could just literally go between the bridge and the skull of your nose and just slice my headphones right off my head, just like I did right there. Hold on a second. Where'd it go?
They're gone. Oh, Eddie can't even hear us. So let's talk. This segment is called "Let's Talk Shit About Luis Jimenez." Oh, he can hear us. Damn it!
Wrapped around the chair.
All right, so you guys watching?
There we go.
Take a moment and talk some shit about Luis Jimenez.
Yeah, there you go. Talk as much shit as you want. Anyway, so he goes to a mountain. He walks to a mountain and just kind of sets shop on top of this mountain, and he waits till he hears them, and then he goes to this rock where they can only come up one at a time, and he just slices their heads off like a slicer at a deli.
Nice. I prefer very thinly sliced zombie. Like I like it just really very, very thin, not shaved. Not shaved, just really very thin.
Okay, so opening of the show, very cool. Jakarta, the doctor, bomb the city, goosebumps, killer moment. Yeah. That is a great way to open the show. Here's one thing I did notice: the credits, not as iconic as like Game of Thrones or even White Lotus.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's just a small thing.
No, but I mean, like, but talk about some of the things that become iconic for a show like that, right? Like the intros, a huge iconic intro is is a pretty big deal. I loved White Lotus. I thought that show was great. The intro was great.
Well, and how they changed it for season 2, like the song. Like usually you skip that part when you watch a show. On White Lotus, I kind of wanted to watch the credits every time, kind of like I did with Game of Thrones. With Last of Us, I'm very much willing to skip the credits on this one. Yeah, not a great. I like it. Doesn't have like a Walking Dead theme, you know, like that theme. It was huge. Anyway,
it's fine, but it's not iconic, unfortunately.
Yeah. At least, who knows? Maybe by the end of the year, it'll be an iconic thing. But I feel like it would have already sort of. Yeah. We'd see people sort of trying to recreate it already. Anyway, okay, so we open on the trio continuing on their journey to get her to this safe zone so they could get a battery for their truck for when they come back. And it's just like, dude, like, again, like, where are people going? Like, where are you going? And also the totalitarian police force that has been
Fedra?
put
Is it
in place,
Fedra?
Fedra. And let me pull up the Wikipedia on there so I could get the names of these things right. But yeah, I think it is Fedra. And the resistance is called if you guys know,
so the resistance is the Fireflies.
the Fireflies, right? That's what it is.
And it was interesting because I thought because there were like throughout the streets, they had, I think, look for the light or something like that. And that was related to the Fireflies. I thought that was like a religious connotation. So I thought there was like these underground groups of religious people. And that's why he told the dude to fuck off when, was there still cursing allowed on this show? I can't remember.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. In the YouTube algorithm, you can't curse in the first, I think it's 15 or 30 seconds anymore, or they demonetize you. But after that, you can they can be sprinkled in.
I'll pepper it. I'll
pepper them in at your leisure. The curse words, just
but he told him to bug off because I thought they were like, because he had experienced this tragic loss of his. We're not spoiling, right? It's okay to talk about episode 1.
No, we're spoiling the episode. Yeah, go for it.
So episode 1, he loses his daughter. And then in episode 2, it starts with him in this like 12 years later or something. And he's 50. Like his job. One of his jobs is to, put these people in the dead in, fires and to cremate them. Yeah. And burn pits. Right. So you can tell he's just so hardened by this new world that he's in. So I figured, this idea of these, spiritual people underground, would have turned him off, but that wasn't it at all. It sounds like his brother had been lured into working with the Fireflies, but he had not, which we haven't seen his brother yet in the second episode.
Yeah. And we also haven't seen Nick Coffin's character in an episode yet either, which is coming, or isn't. It's not Nick Offerman. I don't know why I said Coffin.
Oh, Offerman.
Nick. I didn't even know that. Yeah.
Oh, I love
I think he comes in next episode. And real quick here, Kathy Splash says, if another COVID virus comes along, I say just bomb us. I hate to break this to you. COVID's not going anywhere. It's the new flu, man. There's going to be a new variant of it almost every year. So I hate to break it to you, but yeah, get used to it. Tim F., the audiobook for World War Z is great, especially from the different perspectives. I haven't listened to the audiobook. Maybe I might I'm listening to the Game of Thrones audiobook right now. Which is cool. Yeah, it's like 6 days long.
I'll bet. Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah.
Anonymity Coffee says, will this be a limited series? As far as I know, no. If it was a limited series, it would say so on the advertising for it, and it would only be one season. And I have not seen that anywhere. So as far as I know, it's not a limited series. But again, I guess the thing that I kind of want to, because the video game, again, is the original source material. And the cool thing is that they have the original writers and developers of the game working on the show. So they were going through the designs of the clickers, the zombies, they're called clickers in the game. And I don't think they've used that term yet in the show. They didn't use the term,
but they did present themselves in that episode in the museum
as like almost like clicking sounds. So it was cool because the same makeup effects person who did Chernobyl worked on this show as well. And at first they were going through all these zombie designs, and they eventually just ended up going right back to the video game, the original source material, and used that. And that's what ended up being the first sort of that was an insanely tense scene. So just so again,
before we get there, go back because there's another
because this is like almost 3/4 into the show.
Towards the beginning, there's the scene with they've got like maybe a 12-year-old boy, and he's just kind of limping along, and you're like, oh, he's infected. And then he gets to the encampment, and they're sitting down. This woman's like being so sweet to him and being like, don't worry about it, buddy. We're just gonna do a quick test, and we're gonna get you some.
Oh, that was episode 1.
Oh, was that 1?
Yeah, that was episode 1. But yeah,
Okay.
I mean, that it's important because they ended up testing her in episode 2. She came up with the red check
Right.
mark, but they could see it was plain as day that she was not she was the cure. At
Right.
least the female character in episode 2 realized that. I'm forgetting her. I should have written notes last night, but I didn't write the character names. I will have this next week, I promise. I was actually going to do that before the show, but then I was like, oh shit, we have to start it 3 hours earlier because Mike thinks we're starting at 7.
Oops.
Oopsies.
But I did think that scene though, even though it was the first episode, but and she's like telling him how everything's going to be fine and blah blah blah, and then they're just like, and you know, we're gonna get you some toys and get you comfortable, and they're like boop, and then they just put him down, just right there.
Put him down. Yeah,
like,
but at least it was humane, right?
No, totally.
They made him feel comfortable. Like it's like
super humane.
You're gonna be fine. We're gonna get you toys. But yeah, this one's no good.
Yep, dead.
Like just that quick. But man, can you imagine if that was the scenario, like a disease that had no cure? Like, I mean, this is essentially the Black Plague in a way. You know, and it would have been just the simplest things that I think would have prevented the Black Plague. But like, what do you do?
Yeah. Well, it was interesting because she's like, when they're talking to the expert in Jakarta, and she's going, there's no medicine, there's no vaccine, there is nothing you can do. It's actually interesting when you look at like how fungal infections actually evolve in real life as well, because you're seeing huge amounts of these fungal diseases that are becoming resistant to all the medicines that they're trying to use. And it's like, you know, this fungal infection is a very, very, very real threat. And you know me, I'm super passionate about mushrooms. I love to, I love talking about anything about mushrooms. But in that first scene as well, they're talking about psychedelics and how, how much of an impact they can have not only in the human mind, but the human body. It's fascinating stuff.
No, it's such a great way to propose this story, to propose this world, because it's almost kind of like your like Earth 1.1, you know, like just like this could easily happen in a real world scenario where something like this gets out of control. I mean, you've seen those fungi that get into insects.
Yeah, the cordyceps.
And they just walk around waiting, you know, looking like a bug, and the entire inside of it is completely carved out. It is literally a zombie bug.
I mean, yeah, it takes over its motor skills, and it tries to walk them up into warmer air, where it then spews its spores out of the mouth of the ant. Like, it's crazy.
But not only that, they put themselves up in a place where they can get eaten by a bird and then infect other things. Like it's scary. It's a scary thing. And the first scene encapsulates that. Burn it. You've got no options here. Like, you have to bomb it. You have to bomb it. Somebody was asking, like, oh, that was on my Twitter. They had made a pretty funny comment about, like, do they buy the bomb from the US? Like, do they have their own bomb? You know, like, how does that work? Like, what are the logistics of that? Who makes that call?
Who makes that call?
Who carries out that mission? You know, at that point, it's just like, I was just doing what I was told.
Well, yeah, and it's like that scene in the first episode where the father and daughter, he's got the father, and then they run across the military, and he's like, we're not infected. He's like, and then he's talking to the general. He's like, what do I do? And he's like,
kill him.
Yep, and then just shoots.
Dude, I hope. I mean, like, me and Michelle were just like, we're not running anywhere. Like,
right, we're gonna go.
I'm not. Where am I, dude? All right, get on my scooter and go where? You know, get in the Honda Accord and sit on in traffic, and just wait for them to eat us in the car? Nah, man, I'll stay at home and I'll ride it out for as long as I can. If I can't do it no more, then I
Yeah,
ain't
I
getting
mean,
eaten, that's for sure.
yeah, it's like either way. I mean, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. There's nothing you can do
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah. I mean, we would need, I mean, I know for sure there's a couple nurses in the building. I don't know if there's any engineers. I don't know if there's any, uh what are plant experts called again? I'm forgetting the ologist.
Um, horticulture.
Horticulturist. Horticulturist. So like maybe we could build a garden on the roof, like maybe, but there's no chickens, there's no like we'd have to be hunting for. I know there's skunk in this neighborhood. I've seen skunk, I've seen possum, I've seen squirrels,
Yeah,
like
I'm looking
and
down.
crow.
After COVID, I look down on preppers way less. Way less. I'm like, there's
I
something
could
to
tell
this
you,
prepper stuff.
I could tell you, especially after just listening. God, there's so much prophetic like scenarios about ending of the world. Like we've got suspiciously
Floods in California.
NASA's redirecting asteroids, like testing to see if they can do it. You've got like people like
Impressive.
Randall Carlson and other archaeologists. I don't know enough to know if it's true, but they're talking about pole shifts and massive floods that have come to the earth multiple times, like wiping out civilizations that might have been super advanced, but we don't know because everything's gone.
Right.
So it's like, damn, dude, like if I had some disposable income, I would 100%
keep prepping, dog.
build an ark. I'd be building an ark.
You're in Cali, so you fucking need one.
Dude. I think about it every time. Like, I'm like, God, we're like, I don't know, 10 or 12 miles in and we're up in elevation. I mean, it would have to be a 40-mile wave.
Yeah,
And yeah, those things are real. Like they've happened before. I was like, oh yeah, where am I going to go?
Yeah.
I think I'd just go to the roof and kind of pop out a chair and, all right, hey, this is it.
Yeah. I mean, I've had this conversation with Kristen several times because I've never, ever been a fan of like owning guns. Like I've shotguns most of my life. But I never really wanted one until, the last few years. And I do have one now. Now, I can shoot it at the range, but at the end of the day, like I'm not trying to protect myself from robbers. I'm not trying to protect myself from any of that. Like take whatever you want. I'm just looking at a potential doomsday scenario, and I'm just trying to stay alive for like a week, just in case. Like
have it and not need it,
right?
Need it and not have it,
right? And it's like, and it's just, and if things go down, hopefully it's just like a week or two, and like I can survive long enough. But
you got a generator, you got a couple gallons of gas, like especially in Florida.
That's it.
You get most responsible Floridians are ready for a hurricane that knocks out power for a month.
I'm ready for 7 days. I'll be good. Well, probably 14 days. I'm good for 14 days. But after that, no.
Yeah, it's gonna get tricky.
Get hairy.
Eat the kids. Okay, so
the dog, the cat.
Yeah. So on their journey to get Ramsey, I'm just gonna keep calling her Ramsey, to the safe zone, she learns, and we as the audience learn, that the fungi have a way of communicating.
Yes.
We saw like it looked like to me, and tell me if I'm wrong when I say this, but they were looking at what looked like a horde of zombies that were kind of like baking in the sun, almost like sun tanning, it looked like. And you could see when the clouds rolled over them and the sun hit them, they flashed like almost like if you've ever seen that video of like a cascade of bugs that where they all like make a cone out of each other, and then they flutter the wings to make it look like a bigger thing to scare off predators. It's kind of what it looked like. But in that scene, we learned that there's spores on the ground. It's not only affected the humans, but the animals and and the plants and everything.
Yeah,
So
which I
if you step on one of these things in Pasadena or whatever, wherever you are, at 3-4 miles away, the horde knows that you're
right.
there because that fungi is communicating to it, hey, something's moving here. Come check it out.
Which is really cool because, like, you know, people think of like a mushroom, like the fruiting body of a mushroom, as the entity itself, as the organism, but that's not the organism. The organism is the network of mycelium, the roots of the mushrooms that are all connected together, and then they
Yeah.
create those fruiting bodies to send spores out to reproduce. But like this idea of one thing being connected to another through this vast network of rhizomes and mycelia is freaking, it's very, you know, it's scientifically accurate, so it's pretty cool to see
I
you know, that
wonder
idea portrayed.
if I wonder if being turned into one of those things is a fun experience.
Once you
I'm
make out
wondering.
with one.
I know from a visual, like maybe because we're human and what it's interpreting is disgusting and gross to us,
Sure.
but in reality, to that being that's connected to all of these other
Right.
things in real time, is it fun? Is it a beautiful? Is it enlightening? Is
Yeah.
it, or is it just one like thing? Eat, produce,
Right.
consume all life until there's nothing,
Right.
which
I
is
think
kind
the
of weird
hard
too,
part.
because at the end of it, doesn't that leave it with nothing? I mean, if it consumes everything, if this virus consumes everything, because there are parts of it that they show that there's dry parts also, like there are parts that don't work anymore
Right, they
because
die,
it
yeah.
sucked all the nutrients out of that one area, or
Right.
there's no more humans to sort of to supple from, and then they die, and then they can't, then they're no longer connected to that network. So in essence, it's kind of destroying itself in a way, or is it a reset button more like?
I don't know. I think it's, you bring up an interesting point about like the insatiableness of a creature that has risen to the apex level, right? It's like humans
Yeah.
right now, we're the apex of the earth. And but you know, is anything slowing us down, or are we just continually insatiable? We seem to be pretty fucking insatiable.
Right. It's like almost like thinking of, this is extreme, but like a schizophrenic, who could tap into all of these different things, I'm sure, like, trying to live in normal society, that's just awful and terrifying and
Yeah.
completely unlivable. But if society wasn't there was no judgments and there was no rules here,
Right.
just by itself in a thing, like, would that be considered like enlightening?
Right.
Would can Because I can't remember who it was, but there was a video that I was watching where someone was trying, basically saying that the schizophrenics of today are essentially what we're going to be like in 1,000 years. We're going to be able to access information that when we process it, we'll be able to process it in a better way than a schizophrenic today. But that information is real. Those things that are happening are genuine, and there is a connection there. And that this is sort of the first iteration of humans sort of evolving into a point where we'll be able to handle all of those things, because again, like the capacity of our brains, we're not using everything, right? Like, I don't know, does that make sense?
It does. I mean, you know, just going back to your first point, you know, it's really interesting because you asked, well, what would it be like to be kind of assimilated, you know, from being a human to being something that's connected with a greater network. And I think that a lot of people have a huge amount of fear of that because it kind of equals like the death of the ego, right? It's like
Right.
your personal, like you and I,
Individuality.
we have individuality. We have personal beliefs. We have personal identities, and
Experiences.
you know, and losing that to be a part of a greater system, you certainly could be enlightening. At the same time, I think we have a lot of fear of that idea.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because, okay, so there's two completely different worlds now that sort of have this idea of plugging into this other thing, like this one connection, sort of, again, communication in real time. The really fun way it seems like to do it would be like Avatar, where you just plug into it, or you don't get put back into it until you actually die, until the meat sack is dead, and then you get to go back.
Or you get
whereas
glimpses, like in Avatar, they can plug in, right?
Right.
They can
They
plug
can do
in
both.
at their will. They can
Right.
connect with the greater system, and then unplug and be an individual again.
But there are others that connect to it on deeper levels. That I feel like
Right.
they've made pretty clear in that world. And that's what I'm saying. Like that would be way more fun. I feel like that's like the fun way. Whereas this world is like, yeah, I don't want to be eaten or be like literally destroyed from the inside out and then have no control of my bodily functions or systems.
Right. Which I think
just,
it leads to that scene in the museum when she realizes that she's been bitten, and she has to, and then she's like, nope, get out of here, go, I'm gonna burn these guys out. And then the one infected comes over to her and like opens her mouth, and like all of these, all these muscles come out and go into her mouth, and it was like, oh yeah.
Oh yeah, that gave me the heebie-jeebies for sure.
Doesn't sound fun.
No, but it was. I love that scene because even though we didn't get to see a lot of her character, we know that between her and Pedro Pascal's character, there's a lot of history there, and they've done some shady shit because in the last 15 years, the world has turned to pure hell. And this was like her one moment to be able to sort of redeem herself.
Yeah, it was a redemption
for the last 15 years, and I found it kind of an odd choice as a character to sort of give up and let go. And just like, why, dude? Like, I would not be that cool with it. Why not grab a grenade and just kind of pull the pin and throw it in the gasoline and push them off as long as you can? Right. Why do you? I didn't want, like, I don't know. It was a weird moment, but it was a
redemption moment. I think you're absolutely right. I think that's what it was. It was
for sure a redemption moment for the character. Yeah. But it's also a way to show us how sort of these things work and connect. I thought that the zombie would have kind of been like, oh, you're one of us, and backed off. Like, I don't need to infect her. She's already infected.
Right. Like, maybe there's not that quite that they couldn't sense it quite yet because it was such an early infection, maybe.
Early infection, yeah, maybe. But yeah, so we lose her character. She dies. She sacrifices herself so Pedro and Lord Ramsey can continue on to the safe zone. But I have a feeling the safe zone, once they get there, it's not going to be all it's cracked up to be. And we'll probably get another 2-3 seasons, hopefully. But here's the thing, right? Is with these zombie shows, the great thing, the first one, AMC, right? Like, it was sort of their first baby. It's what made the network. They put a ton of money into it, but at some levels, it did still feel like TV a lot of the times. Whereas this feels like a film. Both episodes have felt like a film. The costumes are great. The special effects are really good. The details and the love of the source material shines in this. And if you've got a PlayStation, go play The Last of Us. The sequel just came out. I should also take my advice. I got to play the sequel. I'll probably go back and play the original. It's worth it. I know the original is only, I think it might even be free on the PlayStation Store. If not, it's $10. You could buy them, play them. They're awesome. Although it will probably spoil the entire series for you.
Right.
So be careful.
At your own risk.
Play with caution, Okay, so with that said, because I know we got about 10 minutes left with you, Mikey. And God, it's great to see your face and talk with you, again, man.
Yes.
Damn it.
Yes,
I love this, dude. Okay,
yeah, and we'll do it more. I'm getting to the point where I can get out of my shell a little bit more.
Well, you're in the new house. Everything's settled.
We're getting settled. Yeah,
the kids are now employed, and we've got the workflow down.
We've all got gainful employment. I'm working. Son is actually working with me in the office, and we're building stuff. So, but yeah, I mean, same thing. Like I'm bringing the Singularity Lab back. We're actually next Monday is going to be the first Singularity episode back. We're going to be talking about AI. And have you fucked around with Chat GPT yet, bro?
No, I haven't.
Why?
Some guy wrote rewrote the trilogy of Star Wars using that. He's like awesome. Is art dead?
The first
art is done.
The first thing that I noticed, so I had heard about Chat GPT about a month ago, and I was on Twitter and I noticed somebody they said they were like, oh, okay, so over the weekend we made a film using just Chat GPT. So they were like going, okay, it prompted it, it wrote a story, then it prompted it again, it said, turn that story into a screenplay. So it turns it into a screenplay. Turn that story, show me that screenplay as a shot list. And it goes, and I'm like, like the world is just like we are at the precipice of like the world getting turned on its head, bro.
Yeah, that's not good news for me. Like, it's just not good. It's not good. Well, it's not good news for writers. Like, because all a network now has to do, they don't have to write a TV if it's good anyway. Right. Like, that's the thing. Is it good?
You can still tell it's a computer.
Okay, so maybe you cut the writing room by 3/4, and you just have them go over it and fix it.
Yeah, because you can just, and I think one of the cool thing is you can look at it one of two ways. You can look at it as art is dead, or it's a tool for inspiration. So rather than me sitting here looking at a blank screen, writing, being like, I need to write my screenplay, and I just got this blinking icon, like, the cursor just blinking, and I'm just like, I don't even know where to start. You go to ChatGPT and give me 10 ideas about this, and this, right? So you can give it like 3 ideas and be like, give me some more ideas, and it'll be like, and you go, okay, and then you could take that and start writing, or so this is I think
nobody's going to do that when you're putting out shot lists. Like somebody the other day put out a remaking of a 90s Family Matters show, but I'm trying to remember who they used instead of the regular family. They used somebody like I was so like they just didn't belong together, and it worked. And I'm like, this is weirdly hilarious. What is happening here? What the fuck is this? This is so crazy. And I'm hearing about, like I said, entire trilogies being written using this.
Yeah.
And like, just make me a shot list. Like, dude, like, it feels like cheating. Like, for a kid who went to film school, Steven Spielberg, Martin Scorsese, Quentin Tarantino, like, are you going to get films and creative ideas as rich as those using AI? I think you're going to get even better eventually.
That's the thing, man. And
that's what sucks.
Yeah, my son is
it's not romantic.
Yeah, it's not. So my son is a cinephile. He loves film. And when I first shared when I showed
bring him in on these conversations.
He's playing video games right now. But I will sometimes. But that's one of the things. Like I showed it to him, and he was upset and a little bit shaken. Like he's like, this is bad. Like, and I was like, man,
I've got a pit in my stomach when I hear that.
Yeah.
I didn't really, like when you said shot list, that's when it really hit me. Like, because there's an entire, like, you have no idea, man. We see on The Last of Us, we've seen how many people on screen, like for more than a second, the people we've seen on screen has maybe been 15, 20 people. And we've only seen 2. There are hundreds of people behind the scenes. If you could just enter in the chat pick me a wardrobe for a 1920s period piece about barbers, like, boom, there goes wardrobe. Don't need her anymore, or him. Like, there goes the writers. There goes, like, the only thing you would need would be grips, which I think their pay would go way up. So maybe getting the grips, like essentially being a production assistant. And I don't even know if you, like, eventually they're just going to, like, it's going to create a CGI shot list and movie so good, you're not even going to need to film it.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. That feels like that feels like the death of something, and not in a good way. I don't. You know what this feels like? The first step of the holodeck.
Yeah. 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 No,
Because
I think that's where we're,
the
that's
only
where
thing that would
I think that's where we're
replace
headed.
films in that sort of visceral way be like if you could experience it, like live it.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's where we're headed, man. I really do.
I don't want to. Now I'm like, for the first time in my life, I'm not excited about the future. That like made me so sad. I'm really wasting my time now. Either that or I'm just like in the last. I mean, we're in the last. We possibly could be in the last days, and of course it could be years, but in the last years of film, like the film, like
I just
humans making film era.
I just typed in the chat GPT, give me 10 wardrobe ideas for a 1950s movie about a barber shop. And it comes back immediately. Barber coat and apron. This is the iconic garment worn by the barbers in the 1950s. It is typically a white coat or apron that covers the front of the body and reaches the knee. White button-up shirt. A classic crisp white button-up t-shirt is a staple for any barber in the 50s. Black slacks, suspenders, bow tie. I mean, obviously these are things you could Google, but like to have it immediately at your fingertips, no matter what you're looking for.
Does it have images of those costumes?
Does not. But then you take you take that and copy that, and then you drop it into Midjourney, which is another AI which can like literally create a mood board for you. So now you take that, drop it into Midjourney, and now you've got a mood board immediately for the movie you want to produce.
Yeah.
In seconds.
In seconds. Okay, well, I've got some ideas. So I think I'm gonna maybe hit the GP tonight and pop out some movie ideas.
Either A, you look at it as the death of something, or B, you go, how can I use this to create something that I wouldn't have been able to create because I'm limited in time, I'm limited with money, I can't hire people, right? So it gives the independent filmmaker an edge, I think.
For a little bit. a small window, because here's the thing is the billionaire is also doing this, and they're doing it without having to take it here, then here, then here, then here. They're just like, hey guy, write me a program where I just put it in once, and I'm CBS, like I'm just putting in money to develop that text. So all I have to do is literally have somebody sitting there at a keyboard, and I mean, eventually that person's going to be replaced. It's just like, hey, just pop out Emmy award-winning shows for the next infinity.
Yeah. Well, it's like Iron Man, right? And what's the name of his AI? What's it called?
Jarvis or Jarvis.
Yeah, that's exactly.
I was thinking of Jeeves, that early late 90s. Yes, Jeeves, that late 90s, early 2000s search engine. Sorry.
Yeah, but I mean, remember when Google came out? Remember when, and I mean, even the internet, right? Like people were going, "This is the end of education. This is the end of learning. This is the end of you could just go blah blah blah." Or remember when our teachers told us that we shouldn't use a calculator because we'll never have a calculator with us wherever we go?
Yeah,
wrong. We do
wrong,
but like
dead wrong.
We still have mathematicians. It's not like they're gone. But you're right. This is something different.
This is different. This doesn't feel good in my soul. And then imagine mixing that, and then we'll get on to our final scores. But imagine mixing that with one of these Boston Dynamic robots, and all of a sudden you got a robot Picasso or Einstein walking around forever.
Yeah.
Like, how do I compete with that? Look, we better start talking about some
UBI.
UBI. Yeah, because everyone's jobs are going away. Everyone. This is the technology is getting, dude, I don't know if we'll see it in our lifetime, but I think our kids will see that amalgamation.
Remember Westworld? Remember Westworld season 3? I think it is, when they have the God AI, the God robot, and it's just like this, just thing that just sits there, and it figures out it just does everything, and it's responsible for the entire world and how it operates. I don't see that as being, 100 years away. Personally, I could be wrong, but I think we're a lot closer to that sort of thing than we all realize.
For sure. Okay, so it show, man, we took a detour, but fuck, that was cool. That's what I think. That's what this show makes you think. It makes you think about all of these things at those levels.
Yeah,
that's why this show is cool, and I hope it stays cool. I hope it doesn't lose its
edge.
Yeah, and its quality, because those are going to be two things that are going to be really hard to keep up in this show, and I just don't want it to
think there's a huge opportunity for world building here in this show.
I agree. Like that scene when you go to Jakarta, I want to see an episode there. I want to see an episode in communist North Korea.
Right.
I want to see an episode like in all part Antarctica. Like, do they make it there? What happens to the virus? Is it too cold? Right. Does that end up being like the place to go?
The refuge, right?
The refuge, Antarctica. Right. Like, could you imagine? Like stuff like that. Awesome opportunity, but also she's a cure. So we're gonna have to get her to the doctors eventually and start handing this thing out. But right. I think that could also be a process and a really cool thing to like, shit, how do we logistically do this?
Right.
Like, how do we administer medicine to something that wants to kill you?
Right.
And is it more, and also, does it come back to normal?
Huh? Isn't it more to like create a vaccine?
I think you're right. I think more of a because it doesn't turn them back, right?
I don't know. We'll see.
We'll see. Which I can't imagine your brain's exploding out like that, coming back together after a vaccine, and you're like, all right, I'm Lou again. Yeah, I think those people are done for. Yeah, anyway, all right. So score for episode 2, The Last of Us.
Episode 2, I'm gonna give it because of the beginning in Jakarta and how powerful those scenes were. And I think again, I think that the scene in the museum where she blows herself up was pretty good. I'm gonna give it a what did I say for the first one? 8.5. So I'll do an 8.
You were in a 9. I think you were 9. I was an 8.3 first episode.
You're 8.3.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm gonna go. I actually think the second episode might have been a little bit better. So I'm gonna recant my original 9. I'm gonna drop episode 1 to 8.5 and give this one an 8.9.
Yeah, see, we gotta be careful with these scores. Yeah, because if you go too high
and inflate them,
and then it's gonna be tough to beat it. So I'm pretty much right there with you. I mean, on IMDb, it's got a 9.4 rating out of 10. So people are loving this show. And by the name, her name's Bella Ramsey. And here's what I love. I'm gonna give it an 8.5.
Okay.
8.5, 2 points better than 0.2 better than episode 1. Here's what I really love about it. Pedro Pascal is having a moment. A Latino actor in Hollywood is having a moment. Him and Oscar Isaac,
he's dope,
are killing it right now. They're absolutely killing it, and I love it.
Last night when we watched episode 2, I was like, what else is he in? I was like, oh, Narcos. So I'd never seen Narcos. So we went back and started watching Narcos because of seeing him in this show.
He's good. He's a really good actor, and he's killing it as the man. I mean, dude, he's in The Mandalorian and The Last of Us. These are going to be the 2 biggest shows on television, I guarantee you, for the next at least 2 years. I love that there's a moment. I've always thought of diversity. When I auditioned for the 2014 CBS Diversity Showcase, and 25,000 people audition for this every year, only 13 people get in, or 20 people. I always thought of diversity as, I'm going to go in there as a brown guy and do scenes that they normally give to a white guy. And it ended up being just like, no, we're going to write you scenes that kind of play on the racism of your color, and and we're going to make funny stuff, and it's funny, it's fun, but it's like, to me, this is what diversity in Hollywood is. These are normally roles that white leads would play, and they're putting in Latino men, and they're not like, he's Latino, like, look at him. he like it's not forced. It's just very natural.
And that's so important. It's so
and that's
important.
so important. And I think this is the kind of entertainment people are yearning for, because, and I don't want to use this term because I think it's okay for people to be woke to more information, be woke to changing your mind, but there is this
forced
overdoing
woke.
of it. There's
The
force
can,
woke.
Can feel manufactured.
Insanely manufactured. And Disney is like enemy number one when it comes to the forcing of this stuff. But wisely, Pedro has chosen the roles, I think, that aren't doing that. And they're like, we want to hire you because you're Pedro Pascal.
Right.
Not because you're Latino and we're trying to fill in a check mark.
Right.
So I love that. So I want to give it a 10 just for that, but I'm going to chill. I'm going to wait and see what these 8 episodes give me. And I'm excited. And I hope, I'm sure they will never see this, but I hope that the series goes in a way where we see different parts of the world at certain times. And I think the story, at least for the first game, definitely opens it up for that. And I think we'll see why. We'll see. Well, you haven't played the game, so you don't know what I mean when I say that. So play the game. You'll dig it. Anyway, Michael Mataluni, dude, this was a blast.
Yeah, dude.
Absolute blast.
With you, brother.
Oh, let's do it more.
Yeah, we will.
Let's do it more. I think the people want it. I want it. Let's get Yumi and Rather maybe soon.
Yeah,
just talking shop. But dude,
I'm down.
I'll see you soon.
Yeah, brother. Thank you. And if you guys want to check out Singularity Lab next Monday, make sure you're subscribed over there. Check me out on Twitter, and we're gonna be back one again. And then I'm all about this time as well. Right
on, man. Well, dude, I'll see you later. It's good to see your face. Happy New Year, later. And we'll see you soon, Moon.
Cheers.
Later. You guys, that was the show today. I hope you really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the hell out of it. That has been one of my favorite conversations in a long time, other than last week with Rather. It's just awesome hanging out with those guys every time. It's all the feel goods. All the feel goods. Before I get out of here, I want to say goodbye to everyone. The General Grievous 19, The Last of Us. I'm glad you're here. New fan, thank you so much for being here. Share the show, like, share, subscribe, all that stuff. We're here for the algorithm. Jeff McNeely, got to establish robot rights or we'll face the robot revolution. Agreed, 100%. I want, robots to have vacation and time off and equal pay. So, yes, totally with you. Yeah, not if your job is to maintain and fix the tech. That's the thing, man. Like, I think at a point these robots are going to be able to start fixing themselves, and when that happens, whew, boy, we're in trouble. I feel like we're in trouble already, but anyway, let's see here. Higher than a moog. That's a great name. Thanks for being here, Lou. I feel you on that. As an Asian guy, I hope we really get to see that too in my lifetime. Real woke isn't a bad thing. Agreed. Yeah, I'm totally right there with you. Grant Lavac, beautiful face, beautiful man. Thank you so much for being here. Singularity Mike saying goodbye, dude. Again, thank you. Absolute blast. And Grandmaster UV, what is shaking? Good to see you, buddy. Welcome back. You guys, it is official. I have bought my new computer. The gaming channel is coming. I was telling Michael, I did an improv show Saturday night. And after the show, someone came up to me and was like, "Hey, are you the Extinguisher?" And I was like, "Excuse me? Yes. Hi." Asked to take a picture of me. It was insane. Absolutely insane. So if you're here because of Germa, thank you so much. But if you are here because of Germa, please inform the community. The Extinguisher is coming with his gaming channel. We're already streaming these shows on Twitch live right now. The links are in my link tree below, so check it out. If you can't find it, hit me up on Twitter @LouAngelis, and I will send you the link to the Twitch. The computer gets here. I ordered it yesterday. It gets here in a month. So I'm hoping by March 1st, we will be up and fully doing the gaming channel. So that's going to be a lot of fun. I've been practicing a lot on my PlayStation, so I'm ready. I'm ready to bring the heat, especially in some Call of Duty, but we're going to be playing other games as well. We're going to put a schedule up for you guys so it's a consistent thing so you know when it's going to be happening every day. Expect that all in March. I'm super excited to bring this to you. So if you're part of the Germa army, spread the word. Tell them the channel is coming. The Extinguisher is coming with a gaming channel. It's going to be a blast. So subscribe, share, like, all the algorithm stuff. Truly appreciate it. Want to say thank you to Michael again. Thanks for hanging out. We're going to be doing The Last of Us reviews. I wanted to do it every Sunday night, and if we could do it Sunday nights as soon as it airs, we're going to do that. If not, we might reserve it for Monday, because I think Monday is also a nice little pocket to do the review in. And then other than that, we'll be doing reviews every Tuesday, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, same time as today. So tomorrow we'll be reviewing Velma. I'm going to go watch the 2 episodes either tonight or tomorrow. This is going to be, I don't know what sugar I'm going to take with this medicine, but I'm going to watch it for you, the people. So that way you don't have to watch it, because I've heard some really bad things. It's actually the third worst rated show in history on IMDb, and it's got a 6% on Rotten Tomatoes from an audience score perspective. It's pretty bad, and I'm not here to dunk on it. We're gonna watch it. I'm gonna give it a fair shake. I'm gonna take notes. I promise. I've just got to get in the habit of taking notes on the things I'm watching. Usually I'm just watching for leisure. Now I'm watching for work. It's different. So it's something that I got to get into a habit of doing and make sure I do every time. So that way we know the names of the characters and the show's better, production. Anyway, you guys, I love you. See you tomorrow. Thank you so much for hanging out. Until then, have a great night. Let me give you my Twitch channel right now. I'm going to include it in the link. I saw the question as soon as I popped out, so I hope you didn't go anywhere. Here's the Twitch channel right here, you guys. The Extinguisher 986. I changed the name of the channel, so go check it out. Subscribe and say hello. Again, thank you guys. Love you.